So 10.1, 10.2 quiz review on number 1. Okay, I had some questions on this, and this happens when you're used to simplifying, okay? But remember the first question we ask ourselves is what? Is it a perfect square? Is square root of 144 a perfect square? Yes, so that means it has a definite answer. What is its answer? 12. Okay, so you don't need a good and a bad, okay, but that one just simplifies out to 12. Okay? Looking at number 3, is it a perfect square? No, so that means I need a good and a bad. What do I look for? What? Yeah, start through your list about halfway. Okay, what did you guys come up with for your good? 64, and then your bad? 2. So then simplify, square root of 64. 8, and then keep your leftovers. Number 5, now we have algebra involved, okay, but we still think about it the same way. Is the square root of 98 a perfect square? No, so we need a good and a bad. What did you come up with for the good of 98? 4 and what? 49, I see. And 2? Okay, now go to the x's. How many of those are good? 2, and then that means we have 1 in the bad. And then what about the y? Yep, it's only 1, so that goes in the bad. So now you just simplify your good radical. What's the square root of 49? 7, square root of x squared. X, what do we do with this? Keep it. Yep. Good. Let's look at number 7. When you have 2 radicals multiplied together, what's the first thing that you need to do? Create 1. Multiply them together. 6 times 10? 60. And then you're back to doing those 3 steps of simplifying. Okay, what's a perfect square that goes into 60? 4 and 15. So what's the square root of 4? 2. And then you keep the rest. How do you know when you're done simplifying? Yep, when you can't simplify any farther with the radical. That's when you know you're done. So sometimes when you simplify, if you didn't get the highest one, you may need to keep going. Okay? All right, now we're getting to the division ones. What's a red flag about these? Radical on the bottom. Okay, we want to get rid of it. I saw some of us multiplying by the whole thing, which is fine, but you don't need to. Okay, what's the only thing that I really want to get rid of? The radical. So I'm going to multiply by the square root of 5 on the top and the bottom. Okay, if you multiplied by 3 square root of 5, you'll get the same thing. Okay, so if I simplify, what do I get on the top? 5 square root of 10. On the bottom, I get 3 square root of 25. Keep going. Can I do anything with the top? Nope, 10's fully simplified. And then the bottom, I get, yep, I get that 3 times 5, which is 15. Okay, last step. Sometimes some of us think we're done, but what can I do still? Simplify the numbers. How many times is 5 going to 5? 1. How many times is 5 going to 15? 3. So then you get square root of 10 over 3. So again, on those, what's the only thing I care about on the bottom? The radical. If you multiply by that 3 square root of 5, you would have just had bigger numbers that you had to simplify here. Questions on ones that look similar to that?
How did you get the...
Let's look at this next one. Okay, what's different between this one and the one that we just did? It's adding. So when we try to get rid of the radical on the bottom, what do we have to multiply by? Their conjugate, yep. So by the opposite or conjugate, what changes? Yep, that sign is just what changes. Everything stays the same except that sign flips. So we multiply by that on the top and the bottom. Okay. Let's look at the top. We distribute that 4. So we have 4 times 3 square root of 3, which is 12 square root of 3. And then we have 4 times square root of 5, which is negative 4 square root of 5. And then on the bottom, what should happen on the bottom? They should cancel out, right? So if I FOIL, I have 3 square root of 3 times 3 square root of 3, which is 9 square root of 9. And then I have 3 square root of 3 times negative square root of 5. What'd you get for that? Yep. Move on to the square root of 5. Square root of 5 times 3 square root of 3. Is that what we should have gotten there? Yes, good. Square root of 5 times square root of 5. Negative square root of 25. Okay, now your last step is to just solve and simplify. Okay, can I do anything with the top? Nope, top will stay. Now we got to deal with the bottom. Let's work left to right. 9 times the square root of 9. What's the square root of 9? 3, so 9 times 3 is 27. What happens to these two middle terms? Cancel. And then square root of 25 is 5, minus 5. So what's the last step that we have? Yep, that bottom part. 25 minus 5, 22. And I don't expect you to go any farther. If you did, that's fine, but I don't expect you to. Okay, so this would be your final answer. These operations with radicals. Okay, now realize that we're not multiplying anymore, we're adding. Okay, so what do we think of when it turns to adding and subtracting? What'd you say? Yes, yes. So we have a 1 in front. Okay, what do we do since it's addition? What do we treat them as? Treat them as like terms. So are these like terms? They have the same radical, that makes them like terms, so all we can do is add them together. 1 square root of 5 plus 1 square root of 5. 2 square root of 5. Yep, think of it as x plus x. We get that 2x. Our x is just that square root of 5 though. Okay, so let's look at this one up here. Are these like terms? Number 12. They are like terms, so we can add them together. What do we get? There you go. Yep, 2 square root of 3. Good. Okay, let's look if we have 3 or more terms. Okay, you still want to look for those like terms. What like terms do I have? Do I have any? The 5s are like terms. Okay, so let's combine those. 3 square root of 5 plus 2 square root of 5. 5 square root of 5. Remember, you're just adding those two numbers in front. And then what do I do with this guy? Keep it. Yep. You always want to see if you can simplify. Can I simplify either of those? No, so you're done. Let's go back up to number 10. Here. Okay. Back to multiplying. What do I need to multiply by to get rid of that square root? The conjugate. What's the only thing that changes in the conjugate? This middle sign right here. Okay, so if I'm going to multiply by negative 1 plus 3 square root of 5 on the top and the bottom. So distribute on the top. If I distribute that 4, I have 4 times negative 1, negative 4, and I have 4 times 3 square root of 5 plus 12 square root of 5. Yep. Now on the bottom, again, what's going to happen on the bottom? Middles are going to cancel out. So I have negative 1 times negative 1, which is just 1. Then I have negative 1 times 3 square root of 5. Yep. Negative 3 square root of 5 times negative 1. Yep. And then we have negative 3 square root of 5 times 3 square root of 5. square root of 25. Yep. Can I do anything with the top? Nope, the top will stay the same. Now the bottom we simplify. I have 1. What happens to those two middle terms? Cancel. And then over here I have negative 9. What's the square root of 5? 25. Times 5. So I have negative 9 times 5. Negative 45. And then the last step would be to what? Yep, that bottom part. Negative 4 plus 12 square root of 5 over negative 44. Okay, I'm okay with this. Okay, let's look at 15. What do I have? Look for like terms. Do I have any? Yep, 3 and 3. So this guy I'm going to keep. And then I have negative 2 square root of 3 minus 3 square root of 3. What do I get when I combine those? There you go. Negative 5 square root of 3. And then can I simplify anything? Nope. Okay. I'm going to look at 16. It's a little different. Do I have like terms? No, but can I simplify? Yes. So I'm going to start with that 54. What's a perfect square that goes into 54? 9 and then 6. And then what's a perfect square that goes into 24? 4 and 6. So simplify. I have 3 times the square root of 9 is 3 square root of 6. And then what's the square root of 4? Yep. So on the left I have 3 times 3. 9 square root of 6. On the right, 2 times 2. 4 square root of 6. Now do I have like terms? Yes. So if I combine these, I get 13 square root of 6. So if you don't start with like terms, but you can simplify, simplify if you can. Okay, always, always, always simplify. Let's look at number 20. Here. What operation are we gonna do on this one? Distribute, right? Multiply. So if I take square root of 6 times square root of 10, that's what? Square root of 60. And then I have square root of 6 times 2 square root of 2. 2 square root of 12. And then I always look to do what? I can simplify. What's the perfect square that goes into 60? 4 and 15. And then what's a perfect square of 12? Yep. So simplify on here, I have 2 square root of 15. And on this side, I have 2 times 2 square root of 3. Keep simplifying like we have been. Can I do anything else when I get to this point? Can I do anything else once I get here? Nope, it's fully simplified. So sometimes when you simplify, they don't end up to be the same. Okay, and that's okay. Okay? Okay, 21, what operation are we doing? Foiling, right? So we have square root of 2 times square root of 2. Square root of 4. Square root of 2 times square root of 5. Yep. Now we move to the inside. 4 square root of 5 times square root of 2. And then we have 4 square root of 5 times square root of 5. Yep. On these don't have to cancel out. Okay, these ones won't have to cancel out. Sometimes they will, okay, but you aren't looking for that this time. So now go through and simplify. What's the square root of 4? 2. Do I have any like terms with these square root of 10? What do I get when I combine those? Yep, because remember there's technically a 1 in front of there. Okay, and then here I have 4 times square root of 25. 5, and we get 20. Am I done? What's one more thing I can do? Yep, I still have like terms. So add those together. I have 5 square root of 10 plus 22. Any more questions on any of the review? Or any generic questions you want to know? 17. Okay, first you want to look for like terms. Do I have like terms? Yes. Okay, let's take care of those first. So I have 2 square root of 6 plus, that would be 5 square root of 54. And then what do you always want to check for? Right, you want to see if you can simplify. Can I do anything with this 2 square root of 6? Nope, that one stays. But I can split up this 54. What's a perfect square that goes into 54? 9, and then 6 would be the leftovers. So I have 2 square root of 6 plus, what's 5 times 3? 15 square root of 6. And now, are they like terms? Yep, so combine them to get 17 square root of 6. Yep, good question. Any other questions over any of the review? Any pages?